Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Troy from Cichlids Bros. In today's video, we're going to be setting up a brand new aquarium. You might be asking yourself, Troy, don't you already have 4 large aquariums down in your basement? Isn't your wife going to kill you?
Yeah.
But seriously though, a lot of these things have been planned out for a very long time. Just watch this clip from our video about 7 months ago. And it's in this storage room that would actually make a really good fish room. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of exciting things to come. So you can see that we do follow through on a lot of the things we hint throughout our videos of things to come. And I can say we have a lot of exciting aquariums and upgrades coming very soon. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm very excited to set up this new aquarium. I've wanted African shell dwellers for a very long time, and I'm finally going to be able to do it. We're going to start off this video at my local fish store as I pick up this new aquarium and some supplies, and then we're going to set it up and then also unbox some new fish, so it's going to be the complete setup all in one video. Really excited for this one, and guys, let's dive right in. Okay, so I can't stop at this store without looking at some of their display tanks. This is one of my all-time favorite tanks. I think it's over 2,000 gallons, but primarily American cichlids. It also has one of the largest green terrors or gold psalms that I've ever seen. And then it has a lot of Midas and red devils in here as well. This fish store always has random big cichlids like this guy here. I also love discus, and me and my brothers are just starting to get into them a little bit more. And then here is the largest geophagus I've ever seen in person. This is a geophagus blue lips, and it is about a foot long, just a massive geo. It's in a tank with an arowana. And they also have a really cool group of archer fish here. Definitely something I would like to keep in the future. But the tank that I'm looking for is going to be for African shell dwellers. This local fish store always has massive sales in February, so I timed up buying this aquarium during that time. And I've always really liked the look of the Fluval Flex, and since it had a discounted rate, I thought it was a perfect time to get this tank. So I picked up the aquarium, the sand, and rocks all at discounted rates, and then I headed home. So this Fluval Flex is 32.5 gallons. The dimensions are roughly 33 inches long, 15 inches front to back, and 15 inches high. So overall, the footprint is really great for shell dwellers. If you didn't already know, shell dwellers come from Lake Tanganyika in Africa. They spend almost all their time in the bottom 5 inches near the sand bed with a lot of shells. They swim in and out of these shells and breed in them, basically making homes within these shells. So I really like the footprint of the Fluval Flex being both long and wide. It's going to be a really good surface area for the shell dwellers. I normally don't like the aquarium kits because I usually like to buy my own filters and lights, but with the Fluval Flex I feel like it came with everything that I like, including the Fluval Aquascaping as the light. I actually have this light on a couple other aquariums so I can set the timing schedule at the same time as my other tanks within the app. So the filtration is really simple. You just put the pump in the middle and then your media baskets with the sponges and your biological media on the right and the left. And then the last thing I do like about this aquarium is that curved front. I've never had any type of bow front tank before, so I do like that unique aspect. For the aquarium stand, I just went with a very cheap rack from Home Depot. This Fluval Flex is going to go on the top shelf, but then I also have room on the bottom shelf for another tank. And as mentioned, this is basically going to be the start of a fish room. I already have a 75-gallon aquarium in this room to go along with this Fluval Flex, and then likely a 40 breeder very soon. And then I unrolled the self-leveling mat and then leveled the stand and the mat itself before putting the tank here. Since everything was level, it was good to go. So once the tank was in place, it was time to start setting up the filtration, which as I mentioned was super easy. It was just connecting the pump and then screwing in the outtake. And now it's time for the fun part, the aquascape.
Yeah, baby! Yeah.
I went with 2 20-pound bags from my local fish store, although I only used about a bag and a half for this aquarium. As mentioned, shell dwellers spend so much time near the substrate, it's very important that they have sand in their aquarium, along with plenty of shells to make their homes. And I didn't want an aquarium with only sand and shells on the bottom couple inches. I also wanted some rocks and even some live plants, so I'm going to show how I went through this. First, I added a couple big pieces of dragonstone in the middle. This should also help with aggression and separating different males in the tank whenever I have a bigger colony established. At this point, I decided I wanted a few more rocks, so I had to run to my local fish store, but I went ahead and filled up the tank in the meantime. Okay, so this aquascape is definitely not finished yet, but I wanted to get the cycling going as soon as possible. So what I've been using is ammonia drops. This takes the place of decaying food or fish waste to be that source of ammonia when you add something like stability or turbo start. This essentially cycles your tank instantaneously, but I also brought over cycled biological media from my other tanks and put it in the filter to make sure this tank was ready to go. And on top of that, I waited about a week before adding fish.
1 week later.
Okay, so now time for one of my favorite things, unboxing new fish. I got this order from the Cichlids shack online. Shell dwellers can be a little harder to find depending on where you live, so I needed to order these online to make sure I could get what I wanted and the quantity and size that I needed. This order was really well packaged from the Cichlids shack and even had a warm heat pack. I overnight shipped these guys, so they really weren't in the box very long. So I went with the Neolamprologus multifasciatus, also known as the multi. These guys are the world's smallest cichlids.
What is this?
A center for ants!
And overall they look great, everyone was alive and well. Let's get the bag floating for about 30 minutes to temperature acclimate, and then we'll get these guys in the tank. So these guys have already made themselves at home. They immediately went into their shells and started burrowing, burying some shells, moving others around. I really like how there's multiple spots in this tank for different sets of pairs to breed. Since Shellies come from Lake Tanganyika, their water is naturally hard and a higher pH, which in the Chicagoland area is actually what we have right out of the tap. So my water should actually be perfect for what the Shellies want and probably induce breeding at a higher rate. It's going to be nice having those water parameters that I'm not as lucky to have with the South American cichlids I keep. As far as tank mates go, there are a few from Lake Tanganyika that could go well with them. However, I do just want a thriving colony of multis, so I'm not going to add any tank mates in the near future. Overall, I'm just loving this tank setup. It's very unique. I'm really happy with it. Okay guys, so the tank has been running for a while now. Everything's going really smoothly. Everyone's really settled in and I'm really liking this tank. It's very different than all the other tanks I have down here in my basement. These shell dwellers have a very unique personality where they're going in and out of their shells, burrowing into the sand, and just interacting with each other. It's one of my favorite tanks to just sit and watch. I love this tank and I do have room right underneath it for something as large as a 40 breeder. I think I'll put that underneath, but then I also have room on the wall back here. That could be a bigger tank in the future, and then other racks that I have in mind. So obviously there's a lot going on and improvements and upgrades happening really soon. Also, my brothers have big plans as well, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of that. Thanks again for watching everyone, and we'll see you next week.